You good, Jay?
All right, welcome out to another episode of the Gridiron 64 podcast. And it's Monday afternoon, almost evening, and that means we're going to be talking football. It's a new week, and on Monday at 4:30, we talk Toloso Midway Warrior football. It's the Warriors Players podcast, and so Coach Viriel, Coach V, brings some of his players, two of his players of his choosing, come on every Monday throughout the football season, talk a little bit about their program, their stats. And today we've got one player and one coach. So coach is going to start bringing in some of his coaches so we can kind of get familiarized. The community of Toloso Midway can get used to them and also the surrounding areas. And today you see on the screen on the left, you have the offensive coordinator for the TM Warriors, and that's Coach Keith Talbert. Coach, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
Coach, thank you for coming on. Definitely want to talk to you. That offense for Toloso Midway has been on fire from week one to now. So definitely we've got the man that puts it all together, and I've got some questions for him for everyone. Let's hear what his secret is. And then right next to him, if you don't know who that is, that's number five, a junior, Toloso Midway, having a heck of a season already in 4 games. That's Damian Figueroa. Damian, how you doing?
Doing well.
I want to thank both of you once again for coming on and spending some time with me here on the Gridiron 64 Sports Network. So, Damian, I'm going to go to Coach first, and then I'll jump over to you. And Coach, it's been a great 4 games, right? You guys are undefeated. One of the teams in the Coastal Bend still undefeated. It's been great. You've been putting up some great numbers. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen an offense put up as many numbers points, but yardage. Basically, the run game has been, if not the best, one of the best here in the Coastal Bend in the 4 games. So I want to jump over quickly, Coach, and kind of go back to the start of the season, right? And so you're coming in, you got the run game. Damian, we know what he did last year, the numbers that he put up. So coming in against a junior, I think you would say I knew I could run the ball. But going in before scrimmage one, what was the game plan? What's been the expectation moving in? Did you know that we were going to run heavy? Were we trying to do something different, but knew we could go to the run if need be? Just kind of talk to us a little bit about at the start of the season. What was the game plan? What was the expectation?
I've always wanted to be a balanced guy, and so we still are working towards having a little more balance in that, and we're going to keep giving ourselves opportunities to do that. I think those are going to be the best teams is when we are be able to be balanced throwing and passing the ball. You're still working hard at that, and we've had opportunities to do that. Couple plays we've hit in the year, but we always end up falling back on the run game. And I think the big difference this year is we've really hit a lot of big home run plays out of the run game. And that just comes from really blocking from the interior and the outside. And I think we've gotten a lot faster since last year too. And so that's really allowed us to, you get that 20-yard burst and then we're able to run away from everybody. So we're still a work in progress. We've put up some really good numbers so far, but we're still trying to be where we want to be with balance.
Let's talk a little bit about this last game against Hebronville. So, you pick up a lot of yards. You beat them, I think, 34-6. And so what talk to us a little bit about that game. What was the game plan going in? We know that we've seen a Toloso Midway run heavy, specifically in the second half. Whatever's been going on, the adjustments that have been made at halftime, Toloso Midway seems kind of, we struggle a little bit at the start of the game, right? First half. The second half, it's a totally different team. Talk a little bit about the adjustments made at halftime, the team that comes out, but just also the Hebronville game and what we were able to do effectively that got us that big win.
Yeah, so Hedmonville game, we had our backup quarterback was in there this week, so we kind of simplified a decent amount. We didn't have, I normally like to have a decent amount of motions and people moving around. We simplified a little bit with all that stuff, and we didn't have a whole lot of different plays in the bag this week, but I thought when we executed them well, we had some really big plays. And I think, you know, a lot of the time during halftime, our linemen are doing a really, really, really good job of fixing the things that they have made mistakes on. And I think one of the biggest differences too is this year we've got multiple guys that can kind of push the other fellas, and there's competition there. And I think if somebody's not getting it done, we know that we've got some other people that can try to go get it done. And we've got a good rotation this year. I think last year and the year before, we were kind of relying on a couple of guys, and it just wasn't as good at having people rotating in, and it keeps us fresh and it keeps us moving. And I think the biggest deal for us up front is we got some big kids, but we're really able to move too. And when you stretch those defenses out like that, it really makes them tough. It makes it tough on them.
Coach, let's kind of break down that offense a little bit so that the community of Tuloso Midway and surrounding areas can really see what these guys are doing. So let's go to the offensive line, right? We're going to give those boys some love because they deserve it, number one, and they've been doing a heck of a job. Just kind of talk to us because I know in talking to Coach B on his podcast, there are some young linemen that will be coming back next year. So that's, I mean, for an offensive coordinator to have, half of your guys or some of those guys coming back, it's got to be a plus. You're talking about a rotation depth that you have in there that, there's competition every week. So, you don't do your job, it can be taken, right? However that works. But let's just go down that line and how special. Let's talk a little bit about our tackles, our guards, the center. How special are these guys?
Man, they're really good kids, and they've really learned a bunch. It's their third year under me. Some of those guys just their second year because we got a couple sophomores out there, but um, man, they've done a really good job just learning and really taking in everything that we want them to learn on how to block and the ways that we want to do things. And I think like I said earlier, I think the biggest key for us has really been those guys have gotten fast. We've had several guys. I know Sean Quintanilla, one of our guards, went from 15 miles an hour to he's 17 and a half now. And I mean, those are huge deals when you're talking about being able to take over linemen, and outrun people and cut them off and all of those things that go into O-line play. It really has been big for us. I mean, Alex Xavier, the two tackles, we got Alex Xavier and Ethan. Man, those guys really do a good job, and they are some big dudes. So it makes it really difficult for people whenever they're that big and can still run. Okay, they've done a real good job of not getting penetration from the edges. They've really just done an excellent job for us. And then at the guards, we've rotated several guys in there. We've had Sean Quintanilla, Noah Gonzalez, Adam Alvarez, George Garcia. We've had a bunch of people rotating in and out of there. And the good thing is it's allowed us to move Sean Burdick, who's played DT for us for the last, this is his fourth year, but we've been able to move him and kind of add him as a little wing guy that we can use to block as well. And our center, Gabriel Ortiz, has just been doing a really good job. He was out the London game, came back this game, and just picked up right where he left off. They've been doing just an excellent job and very coachable. They fix things on the run. This last game, that was one of the things I was really proud of is, I'm up in the booth and the O-line coach tells us, he says, man, they're fixing it themselves, coach, because we have instant replay and we can see what's going on, and they were fixing it themselves. And so that's one of the things that you really hope for as a coach, is that they become player led, and they can do a lot of coaching on their own, and you've taught them enough to where they can do all this stuff and fix it on their own.
And for all the TM Warrior fans who are going to watch this podcast, a lot of those kids are coming back. They're underclassmen. Some, we had one last week that was just a sophomore for 2 more years. So, it's just an exciting time for Tuloso Midway to be doing what they're doing now. And a lot of these players still coming back one, possibly some 2 years. Just great to see the success that we're having this year early on. And what is still, you're hearing coach say, they're still getting better. They're still working. They're still having hit where they want to be. So every week, every practice, they continue to get better. And coach, I got to tell you, I went to the first scrimmage this year and I saw these guys. I was like, oh, holy moly. Like, I was like, these guys were big. I mean, they were just like cute. Like, there was not a small guy. They were just like, I'm not going to say the center smart, because I've been saying that. And coach caught me last week and he said, hey, our center knows you're saying he's small, but he's shorter, he just kind of caught my eye. But these guys are just huge all the way down from the right to the left. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then I find out that some of them are still sophomores and juniors. I was like, wow. I think they're probably the biggest line I think that I've seen so far this year. But coach, doing a great job. Those guys, all the success that you see Tuloso Midway have this year, it starts with those guys. We can't have any success or quarterback or running backs. None of that is possible without those big guys. So, Coach, I got to ask you: is everyone healthy today?
Up front, we're all healthy. We got Gabriel back last week, and his was just a little minor injury, but he's back. Looks like he's 100% now. So, I mean, up front, we're looking good.
God, we got to stay that way. Coach, now let's go over to the quarterback. I talked to Coach B early on this week, and he talked a little bit about working with him. The passing, obviously, you talked about wanting to get that going, still working towards that. But running is what Coach B said he wanted to see from him. When there's nothing there and he tuck that ball and go. He has over 200 yards, I believe I saw already this year. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I saw. Talk about his performance and his growth coming in from last year and what you're seeing from our QB Brayson this year.
So I think Brayson's a really big, important part for us. He really lines people up and helps. I have a lot of verbiage in some of my play calls. And so he has help people out going where they need to go. He's the general out there, and I think he does a really good job. And one of the things that he's done too, I mean, all of these guys, one of the biggest parts of us being successful this year was our off season. And we've gotten a lot faster. That guy went from 18 miles an hour to over 20 this past year. And he's able to use his legs a lot better than he was last year. I think he reads some things and tucks it down and pulls it down and runs. And he's shown that too. I know one of my friends coaches over at Ray, and he said, man, we were really concerned about the quarterback too. I said, well, yeah, you should be, because he can really take off and run. And it makes it difficult when you have multiple guys in the backfield that can run. We have Damian, we have Jonas, we have Brayson. We've got a bunch of guys. We give the ball to Ricky sometimes. I mean, we've got a bunch of guys who can stretch you, a bunch of guys who are not scared to go block for the other person. And Brayson's done a really good job. Like I said, I think he's a really good quarterback that I'm hoping in the next couple games we'll really be able to showcase that and get some guys open work, because he throws a really good ball. And he's very good at reading defenses. And I think we're going to showcase that here coming up in the next couple games.
That'd be awesome, because with the run game that we have and through these 4 games, if defenses have to start worrying about the pass, good luck to those defensive coordinators trying to stop Tuloso Midway, because just with the run alone has been difficult for the teams that we have played. Let's talk a little bit about Jonas Darby, a guy that Coach Figueroa talks a little bit about here on the podcast that, is going to be used. Seems like you guys are utilizing him a little bit more, Coach, with Damian kind of going both ways and having to play defense. Right, we got to give him a little bit of a break. Talk a little bit about him and his growth and just every week it seems like he's getting a little bit more carries. He's the one I think that has over 200 yards now, but just talk about, his growth and how we're utilizing them here now and in the games to come.
Yeah, I started with him also back in the off season. He's really grown a whole bunch. I remember his freshman year, and just not really, he didn't have that dog in him. He's starting to get it now though. And, I really credit his work ethic. He's really put himself, he tries everything he can. He's always wanting to do extra, always wanting to catch passes. He's gotten a lot better at catching passes. But we like to have both of those guys in the backfield. We like to have people. We like to have multiple threats back there. So Jonas has done a really good job putting himself in positions to be a threat. And he's not scared. Like, we ask both of these guys in the backfield to go block for each other, and neither one of them is scared to. And I think that's really helped out a whole bunch. He's gotten a lot better at blocking. That last year, I'm not sure that he would want to do as much as he has this year. So he's put himself in really good spots with blocking, and if you block, we think you deserve to get the ball as well. But he's really tough to bring down. He's got a little shake to him too. So he's really developed a whole bunch this last year, and he's still got another year too. So I mean, both these guys are going to be, we get one more offseason in them. It's going to be really, really good for the years to come.
And that's what I want to showcase, just what they're doing. And that's why when Coach came on and we wanted to bring him on every week, one of the reasons was to be able, I saw what Tuloso Midway had done last year, and a lot of these players coming back, get their names out there, and for the TM community really get excited about what we're doing this year and the talent. And a lot of these kids are coming back next year. Like you said, you put another off season together. the best is still yet to come for the Warriors here. It's going to be very, very scary for teams that have to go up against that offense with Tuloso Midway. Coach, also, let's go to the receivers now that I have you on here. I know we're talking a lot about wanting to get that pass going, but what have you seen? Talk a little bit about the receivers. Who do we have there? I know the sophomore Ricky Hernandez is a kid. I saw his stats last year as a freshman, very impressive. So his name came to me right away. But talk about him and his growth. Some of the other receivers we have on offense.
Yeah, we got Ricky. We got Jonas as our slot guy, and then we have Jace Arriaga and Eric Flores. We've got several guys we use in there too. We use Will in there a little bit, Will McCall and Ryan. And so we also have new recent additions, Jane McCoy, who'll be out there too with us. So they've done a really good job. And what we've asked them to do is we're going to try to set you guys up to make some plays. We also want you to make sure that you're able to block, because we know if we're all able to block outside, we know up front we are really, really good. And if we're able to take care of those skill guys outside, it's going to be really tough for people to stop us. And so they've done a really good job taking that in and saying, let's go block and let's make sure that, and I tell you what, it's been help. We added an extra receivers coach this year. And it has really helped us a whole bunch. And they've really made those guys accountable, and they've all bought into it. And, they're just doing a really good job of blocking out wide. And you can see, you come watch our games, they're all downfield blocking just about every single play. And if they're not, then coaches are going to hear it from the coaches. So, I credit those guys a whole bunch with helping develop those guys. I know we're still not where we want to be with throwing the ball, but, we're going to keep getting there. We're going to keep going and keep progressing throughout. And so those receivers have done a really good job.
And I know Coach Reed talked about, going in, he said he had a talk with the receivers, blocking. It makes a big difference, going to the, taking it to the house if you get a block versus, being able to make that tackle because you didn't block, can turn the game around. Next plays, a couple plays, you don't know what happens. So when you have that opportunity to be able to go, if you're blocking, that could make the difference of a touchdown or getting caught, which is huge in a football game. And so again, TM Warrior fans, we've got Coach Talbert here talking about the offense. He's the offensive coordinator. You can catch this podcast. It'll be uploaded here this afternoon, this evening, as soon as I get off. So you'll have it there. You can watch it on our Gridiron 64 Sports Network, Twitter, or Facebook. You can also catch it on YouTube and on Spotify. We're on Spotify as well. So if you have Spotify, just go over to Spotify, search Premier Sports Talk, look for the GT Sports logo, and you can definitely hear this podcast with Coach Talbert and offensive player Damian Figueroa. Coach, I want to then now go to the game against CC Carroll. Coach, I think this is going to be a good game. I thought this was going to be a good game when I saw it at the beginning, but now that Carroll beat Cal Allen, right? Now this becomes even a bigger game for us podcasters to talk, right? You got Carroll coming in now. What are your thoughts on this game and what you'd like to see from the offense to get another win and stay undefeated?
I think you're right. I think it's going to be our toughest test of the year for sure. And obviously they beat Cal Allen. That brings everybody into they beat them. So you get into that talk too. But we just need to take it one game at a time and play Carroll first. But I think they've got some really good guys up front. Their ends are really good. There's some big kids. We haven't seen the size that they have at the ends this year. We've got some big tackles too, though. So, I think it's going to be a battle for sure. I still love our O-line. I still love our O-line. I love our O-line play. I love how hard they play. I love how much they can run. And I think that puts people in some bad spots when you have guys up front that are big, but not only big, but they can get out and run. So, it's going to be a test for sure. But I think we got some things we can do to them, and we'll find out on Friday.
Yeah, I look, as a podcaster guy, Coach Damian, this is what we do. We hype it up. I already got guys that we were talking over the weekend, man. Look what's going on. And so now what we're saying this is us. So I know that the players, you got to try to maintain it is the game plan. It's just another game, not get too hype. But for us, people are talking and we're saying, hey, look, man, Carroll beat Cal Allen, Toloso Midway undefeated. This is the game everybody wants to see. We put up a voting poll. We want everybody to go out and vote. We're going to talk about it all week. That's what we do here. But, Coach, I think it's going to be a great game. We love to see great games, and I hope when it's all said and done, we will walk out with the W and we will stay undefeated. I do got to ask you, Coach, as the coach, what's the buzz been like over there at TM, being undefeated after 4 games going into week number 5? Are you hearing a lot of buzz out there, TM?
I think, I'm not from around here, so but I think we kind of expected this so far. You know what I mean? Like we know the next 4 games are tougher games, and we know, if we can get out of these next 4 games in good shape, we're gonna put ourselves in a good spot. So I think we kind of knew how our schedule lined up, and we knew Moody was going to be pretty good this year. I thought we put on a pretty good show against Moody. But I think we knew where the schedule started to get tough. And so I think, especially after last year, we've kind of, I think we expected to be here, and we knew this is going to be our toughest game of the year this Friday. So yeah, it's great. It's great to be undefeated. It really is. But all this in the end is really practice for district play. And so it's nice when you win all of them before district, but we got to make sure we focus on getting those victories in district play as well.
Yeah, the other stuff is for guys like me, the community, the fans, to get to brag about the team, right? Because that's what we do. When your team is winning, we're talking. Man, we're
Yep.
talking all the time. You can't get rid of us. We're everywhere, right? And when the team's losing, we kind of hide out. We kind of want to get away from people. So all that, you're absolutely right, Coach. Just for us to get hyped up and brag about our teams, that's what we do. And the hype is good, but for coaches and players, it's just another day, another game, prepare for next week. But as you talked about the schedule, it will get very interesting here. These next couple of games, I think we got Alice coming up also, and so it's going to be very interesting. I'm glad that we're pretty healthy going into these games, because I think that's important as well. So I'll come back here to Coach in just a bit. Now I want to go over to Damian. Damian, thank you for coming on. Listen, I got to tell you to start off with, I tell people you're to me, my personal opinion, you're the best back in the Coastal Bend. I say it every time I come on a podcast. I'm from Rockport, so we're up in this area. So we talk a lot about what I see, what Coach tells me. People see the podcast, and probably even put a target on you. So I apologize for that. But man, I love what I'm seeing from you. I love the explosiveness. You're a physical runner. Talked to Coach B, and he said, man, look, he's physical. He'll run over you. I mean, so you've worked a lot. So let's talk a little bit about the offseason. Last year, as a sophomore, impressive numbers. People already knew who you were, right? Based on what we saw. So coming into this season, what were some of the things that you wanted to work on? What did you see in yourself that said, look, I know I did these things good, but I want to get bigger, stronger, faster? Like, what were some things you worked in the offseason to get to what we've seen this year from you?
I took track seriously, and I worked a lot on my speed because last year I got caught a lot, like in the red zone. So I don't want to get caught this year. And then my strength, I had to up my numbers in the weight room, my bench, squat, and power clean, and then just being a leader all around.
Man, I tell you, you're an impressive guy, man. I mean, if you're a TM fan, they're going to be talking about you. Why not, right? He plays for us. Hey, man, we're going to hype it up. Um, let's talk about this season. I mean, when I look at your numbers right now, currently, well, before we go to that, let's talk a little bit about the last game you had. You had 221 or something yards against Heaven. So another big game for you. What were you seeing? I know you credit the offense a lot, rightfully so, but the back also still, with a great line, a running back still has to be able to see that vision, still be able to hit that hole quickly. What did you see? Talk to us a little bit about your game and what you saw and how productive you were against that Hebbronville defense.
I give credit to all my linemen. They open up the holes so I can make a play. The Hebbronville line, they're pretty good size. I mean, but I'm confident in my line, so we're gonna win that 100 times. So they just make the hopes for me, and I make plays.
Let's talk a little bit about your stats currently right now. You have in 4 games, you've carried the ball 104 times. And if I'm coach, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I have written down. So you carried the ball 104 times. You're at 1,121 yards. You have you've hit over the 100 mark all 4 games, and you have 17 TDs, right? So that's impressive through 4 games. I mean, it doesn't matter who you play; it's just impressive, right? That does go to show your line, and just the way that you're running the ball. And by the way, you're going both ways, right? So it's not just offense. You're having to play on the defense. Not sure how much you play, but um, what was the expectation going in? Like where you're at now? Like let's talk a little bit about coming in. Did you have any personal goals? Was there something this year that you said? How many yards do you remember just offhand? How many yards you had total last year as a sophomore?
1,400.
1,400. So what was your goal? Did you have a goal wanting to reach? I know you want to go more than that, but is there a certain number you said, I definitely want to reach that my junior year?
Just like 2,000. Just 2,000.
Well, I think you're going to get there, buddy. I think you're going to get there because you're pretty close. So these numbers, I mean, what does all that mean to you? I mean, because at the end of the day, you know, coaches talk about this. Like the numbers are great, but it's about the W's, right? You can have these great numbers, but I'm sure for you and your teammates, it's about the W's. It's about, you know, the goal is to win a district title, to bring that back to Toloso Midway, to get past that first round, get to that second round. I mean, I know those are all goals that I've talked to with Coach B, but you, when you see these numbers, what does that mean to you right now in 4 games?
I'm grateful for it, but I don't let it get to my head. I'm just worried about a Friday night game.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the way you got to be. Let's talk a little bit about the Carroll game coming up. So you heard Coach and I talk a little bit about that. What do you think you guys need to do to get that win? I mean, obviously the run game has been very effective, but these teams are going to start to say, hey, look, we know they're going to start to block, you know, they're going to do what they got to do to stop that run because people are starting to know, hey, look, this is what we got to do to have a chance to win. What are you expecting from Carroll's D, and what do you think you guys need to do to get that W and stay undefeated?
I expect them to pack the box and try to stop the run, but I have faith in my line. We're gonna air the ball out some, throw it out. I have faith in my quarterback, my receivers. They're gonna try to pack the box to stop the run, but I doubt they're gonna be able to.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of teams are going to do now, seeing what we've been able to do. How much fun? I mean, just talk about how fun has it been to win games, to be undefeated as a player. I mean, Coach talked about from his perspective as a coach, it's just another day. It's fun to be like that, but for us, it's just another day. We got to get better. Before a player, you're in the halls, you're in the classrooms, teachers, people are congratulating you. I'm seeing some video. You're getting awards all over the place, right? People are coming out to the school, they're giving you awards. I mean, what has all that meant for you? I know what you're talking about, the leadership and want to win, but just to have all of that hype around you, what's that been like for you this year?
I'm just grateful for it all. It's a blessing to have the community, the teachers, the students, and the little kids come up to me and ask for pictures, ask for autographs too. I'm just grateful for it all.
Well, Damien, I'll tell you what, when I see you, I want to ask you for an autograph. I'm not a kid, but I'm going to ask for an autograph myself. Very impressed with the way you run. I'm just glad you're playing on our side, our team. There with Toloso Midway, Damian Figueroa talking TM Warrior football. He's only a junior, so just got to get excited for one more year. You heard Coach talk about one more off season. You know, what will your career be like when it's all said and done? The best, I think, Damian, is yet to come. I want you to talk a little bit about your offensive coordinator. I'm going to ask you. Hope I'm not putting you on the spot though, but I always ask this. I want you to talk a little bit about your offensive coordinator and your head coach, Coach B. You came in as a sophomore. I think that's when you made varsity. Talk a little bit about the offensive coordinator there, Coach Talbert, and what he's meant for you and your growth as you continue to progress through the season.
I'm grateful for him. He's always been on my butt, and it's about my grades, about just being a leader. Just he's a great guy. He draws up plays for me to get what I need to get. He's just a great guy all around.
You know, coaches, they see the talent because we do these podcasts a lot, and coaches, and they see talent in you. or in a player, right? They're going to push you to the limit. That's what I hear coaches say. They're, you know, they got that love. They see the potential, and they want you to hit that potential. So it seems like you got some great coaches there. Also, talk a little bit about your head coach, Coach Figueroa. You know, he was a defensive coordinator, so you knew him there. But this year, he's the athletic director, head coach. What's it meant for him this year, and how has he helped you? What's it meant for you to have him as a coach and be there? I know he works more on the defense, but as a head coach, you know, does he push you to be the best you can be?
Oh yes, sir. He always pushes me. Tells me to bring the energy to practice every day. Just be a leader on and off the field. Even at home, everywhere I go, just be a leader.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'm glad that you're wearing the maroon, the TM Warrior, because we would not want you to go anywhere else. It's a blessing. Let's talk a little bit about defense. Last year, I don't know if you play a lot of defense, but Coach Viriel talked a little bit this year about using you both ways. So that's if you weren't playing both ways last year, that takes a lot of energy, right? You got to be on the defensive side. I saw that scrimmage where you were in a lot of plays. You know, what's it been like for you? To have to play both ways. I mean, they got to give you a break here and there, but you're so valuable offensively to what Toloso Midway wants to do. But then having to play defense, how do you balance that? And what do you do to continue to stay in shape to be able to give energy to both sides of the ball?
I just try to stay in shape throughout the week. Get my stamina up when I'm not playing. I like playing defense. I like hitting. So if I come downhill, it's just a bad thing for the opponent. Um, it's just I stay in shape. Try to
So
stay in.
I gotta ask you, do you like defense better? Because to me, I would think you love offense, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm gonna ask a question. Do you like defense better than offense?
No, I have to go with offense.
Yeah, I would say, golly, those numbers, I mean, you're a great hitter. I'm sure you'll knock someone down, but the numbers on offense say different, right? So if you would have said defense, I would say, golly, the numbers say different, right? Like you're a heck of an offensive guy. Damian, I didn't ask at the beginning, how did you get involved in football? I mean, at what age did you start playing football, and did you fall in love with it? Was there mom and did dad get you involved, a brother, uncle? I mean, how'd you get involved in football?
Actually, when I was young, I started baseball. I was more of a baseball guy. So, and then I grew out of baseball until my dad put me in football. And once I got there, like around 6, 7 years old, I was addicted to it. So I couldn't stop getting my hands on football.
Wow. You know, I'm gonna tell you a little quick story here. My son graduated in 2019. He played baseball. That's all he played when he got to fourth grade. He's a little big. So my ex-brother-in-law, he said, "Hey man, listen, he's got to put him in football. So we do you want to play football?" He said, "Yes." He got on that football field. I don't think he's ever touched the bat again. He just fell in love with football, coaches football, loves it. That's just what he does now. Doesn't play any other sport but football. So for some kids, they get into that. They get on the gridiron, man, and that's it. They fall in love with it. So you fell in love with it at a young age. God knows you're good at it. So keep doing what you're doing, and good luck the rest of the way. I think you're going to hit that 2,000 mark, Damian. Definitely here on the gridiron. We definitely are supporting you, cheering you on, cheering on Tuloso Midway. But I definitely want to see Tuloso Midway win that district title this year, bring it back, and get past the first round of the playoffs. Coach, I'm going to ask you to kind of. I'm gonna give you the final thought here. Anything else you want to add before we let you go?
Man, I don't know. It's like you're right. We went into this year, and I don't know that we ever would have predicted that these numbers would have came out. I couldn't believe last week when we saw Damian was the leading rusher in the state of Texas. It really is a little bit surreal as to see what we've been doing so far. Super proud of all the guys, man. I really am. We just got to keep progressing, take it one game at a time, and not get too wrapped up in all this stuff. Because I mean, you're right. There is a lot of hype. There's a lot of people talking, a lot of this, a lot of that. We just got to take it one game at a time. And we all know there's some tough games coming up. None of them are going to be easy. I don't care if we rush for 500 yards a game. Those games are going to be tough coming up. So we've got to be ready for those. We got to get the guys ready to go as much as we can, and go into those games as prepared as we can.
Well, Coach, as a TM Warrior fan, I want to congratulate you and thank you. I mean, you and your offensive team is doing a great job. I mean, I know Coach talks a lot about you guys, gives you guys, Coach B on his podcast, gives you guys a lot of credit. But before I let you go, tell us a little bit about some of those offensive coaches. I know Coach B introduced them, but I know you can get a little bit more detail. Let's talk a little bit about what their responsibilities are, because the success that they're having, it starts with you, obviously, as the offensive coordinator. But those line coaches, those receiver coaches, they're all doing a great job in what we're seeing Tuloso Midway do this year.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, you're exactly right. It's helped me a whole bunch this year. We added an extra offensive coach, so I coach the quarterbacks. Coach Rodriguez coaches the running backs. He's new. He just came in this past year. Coach Gonzalez and Coach Kyle coached the O-line. Coach Gonzalez actually coached with me in Mathis for 3 years, and we brought him over this year from Mathis. Coach Wetzel. Coach Brandon Gonzalez coached the receivers, and they've done a really good job. And I know, like, we want to be balanced, and I think us as offensive staff, we all have the same thoughts about things, and they like to see what I'm thinking about, and they want to know more about that. And we've gotten where we're all kind of one voice now, and it's been really, really good. It's been really fun. We all mesh really well, and those guys have done a really good job getting all our players ready. And you can see, I mean, you can see it on the field that we look better, and a lot of that is attributed to them. A lot of it's attributed to the players, but a lot of it goes to those guys too.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Coach, I'm an old school type of I was a basketball player, loved football, just wasn't big like Damian, to be able to run over people. People would have ran over me, I'm not that big of a guy. So I was a basketball player, not a football player, but loved football. But I like that smash football. That's what I love. I mean, I like the spread and the scoring, but I like it when they try to, the defense try to come up and you just, no matter what you do, you can't stop it. You just can't stop it. It's coming. Get ready. It's coming. The train's coming, and I'm just going to run over you. That type of football has always been the type of football that I love. It's the type of football that Tuloso Midway is playing now. That's why I love it so much. Damon, I'll go to you, give you the final thought, man. Thank you for coming on. Like I said, I don't know if you watch our podcast, but every chance I get, I hope you don't mind, I'm just going to continue to talk about you. I think it's deserving, not only because I'm a TM Warrior fan, but as a Coastal Bend guy all year long. I want other areas outside to know, hey, we've got a running back down here in South Texas you better watch out for. So anytime I get a chance to promote you here on the network, we're going to continue to do that this year, next year. Keep doing what you're doing, but I do want to give you the final word if you have anything else you want to add.
No, sir.
Thank you very much, guys, for coming out. Coach, I hope I can get you back on. You see, once the district starts, hopefully I'll get with Coach B to bring you back to talk about how we're doing midseason through district. Damon, the same thing with you. I know Coach wants to get other players back, but hopefully if I get to a game out there, maybe I'll even drive out there and do a little interview with you on the field. But good luck, Coach. Good luck, Damon. Keep doing what you're doing, and just know here on the Gridiron 64, man, we support TM, and we definitely love Damian Figueroa.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks for all you do, man. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.